Sometimes I just wanna stay inside, I don't need nothing more. Sometimes I just wanna drink, feels right, but I know it's wrong. Sometimes I just wanna see my...
Hey guys, listen, I told you we're coming back for part 3 of our Music Month series, the Geneus Series. And of course, I am one of your hosts, Ashlee Redway.
Hey girl, Danielle Meeks.
Listen, yes. And we are on part 3, like I said, and this is our final part. We're wrapping up Music Month. And what other way we can be able to end this wonderful series with speaking with some of the industry's finest, who's doing their thing, who's running it up and keeping themselves busy. So tonight we have no other than Mr. Edgar Mendez in the building with us. Woo! Yes. So really quickly, just to kind of give you some things about Edgar. All right. First of all right, he is a music industry professional. He specializes in artist management and digital strategy. He manages no other one of my favorite R&B artists, Reggie Beckton. Focused on strategic development and operational management. He deeply understands the digital music landscape that helps crafting innovative strategies to enhance artist visibility and business development. And on top of that, he also contributes with Digilog, which is one of our favorite music and tech communities as well. And he basically engages with professionals to promote education opportunities within the industry. So guys, listen, welcome. Edgar Mendez. Yes.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was such a grand intro.
We try. It could be better. We try. So Edgar, I definitely just welcome. This is, like I said, this is our closing out the Music Month. Please just start off kind of giving some history and kind of talking about you getting started in the business and kind of building your empire. I know you work with some phenomenal artists, with Reggie being one of them, of course, and he's doing his thing when it comes to R&B music and really building up that momentum when it comes to new sounds and independent artists. So kind of just talk about that and understanding proper strategy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so a little bit about my upbringing is very unorthodox, but I'm starting to realize that majority of the people that I meet are like they have an unorthodox journey. But mine kind of began a little bit in 2013, and actually I met up with the person that really I was idolizing yesterday, and we were talking about like, oh wait, when was our first interaction? And I was like, oh, it was 2013 after you on a radio show. And he was like, wow, it's been that long, 10 years. So it's been a journey because for the beginning of that portion, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was like, all right, I think I heard there's this pathway in music. I just knew producer and manager. That's all I knew. And then after a while, like I started reaching out to A&Rs before I even knew what A&Rs meant. I didn't know like until like maybe 2015. And then sometime in 2016, started working with my high school best friends, my best friend in high school's college best friend, who was like that I ended up finding on SoundCloud. He's like, yo, that's actually my best friend in college. I'm like, what? This is such a small world. So I just kind of offered help. I didn't know how to help, but the peers that I was working with, like I started kind of like noticing that they were doing a lot of reading, like a Passman book, and I'm like, oh, that's where I could start, and that kind of became my Bible, and I started to gain a little more clarity as to like what I wanted to do. And then that artist, extremely talented, and I was with him during a moment where he was like trying to decide, okay, should I do the music route or should I become a lawyer? And this dude was balancing out Ivy League education with like a rising music career. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know where this is coming from, but how do you balance them out,
Yeah.
And yeah, and eventually, he took the Ivy League route. He went to college. He's still an artist actually to this day, but I had read up on so much of how to be a manager, and I just kind of had this like knowledge floating around. I didn't really have an artist to apply that with. And eventually, just like years passed, was trying to get my first job in the music industry. It's taken a while, and I was working at like coffee shops, selling coffee, machines. And eventually, I was coming from therapy. It was like raining. It's like 2018, 2019. I like see this song come up, Raining in LA. I'm like, oh, this is a cool song. It's literally in LA. And yeah, it was Reggie back then. That's the first time I ever heard of him. And then a few months later, again, literally like deja vu. Like I go to my like songs and then I'm like, oh, I should play that song. I forget how this sounds. And then I play it and it just like took me exactly to that same position. So I sent him a message like on Twitter and I was just like, yo, I would love to work. Like just I do marketing. I've worked with artists before, but I haven't done any artist marketing. I would love to work on your ads because I was like at this point really skilled in a very niche part of like marketing.
Okay.
So even with Reggie, I was not really trying to promote Reggie back then. I was trying to promote R&B. Like I feel like it was like more of an angle that was like gonna garner support from like more people, and then position him as the front runner of male R&B. And I think that was something that was very effective in early 2020. And just started going to studio sessions, started like bringing in a videographer. Like his current director right now was with me in a salsa class. And it just kind of went from that to like, yo, you should come to the studio sessions. And then eventually he started shooting all his music videos. So then Reggie and my co-manager Megan were just like, yo, you should just be part of the team. You should just be co-manager. So we figured that out, and we've been rocking ever since.
How did you like build up the confidence from, I know you said you were like, you read a lot of books and first like you had the person that you were working with and then they decided to go into the school.
Yeah.
But how did you build up like that confidence to, I guess maybe, co-manage with Reggie and say like, I can definitely do this and, how to put that trust in you?
I think it really comes down to the type of people that you're surrounded by, because different people bring out different sides of you. And trust me, like there's a lot of people that are just shocked because they're like, dude, like you were mad quiet when I knew you. Or other people that are just like, wait, you were like the class clown or whatever. And it's like, it really was a combination of the group of people that I was surrounded by, right? Like some people were able to bring out a little more confidence in me than others. And it's like, it was more so just like a factor of things. And with Reggie and Megan, like I felt like they really were able to empower me to like bring out like the dreamer side of me. Like ultimately I'm a dreamer. Like of the top three, I mean, we already know the top three in hip hop, whatever. But there was a moment where I was like, yo, it was J. Cole, Ride or Die. I went to a concert in 2015 for J. Cole, Dollar in a Dream, and I waited there for 20 hours. And I waited there for 20 hours. I was one of the first 100 people because I was a dreamer. I'm like, I'm a real dreamer. And these guys see that in me. And I felt empowered to like continue to explore that side of me. And that's kind of how I got to like really deliver with some confidence that I don't think I had ever really delivered to.
I love that. I had to take note on some things because you already had said something that I really, really love. And first of all, shout out to Megan.
Yeah, shout out Megan. Hey.
It was amazing. I mean, it was amazing. You guys were so wonderful to us, and for us to be able to sit down in LA during Grammy weekend and be able to speak with, some of the artists that you're working with. So we appreciate you both. So definitely shout out. First of all, I love the fact of, to be able, you talked about the positioning for Reggie for male R&B, not for him as the artist, but to be able to promote R&B. Talk about those significant areas and things that you realize that you feel like you can be able to help artists and push them in that direction. Because mind you, 2020, obviously with the pandemic, and then also there was a question going around that everybody got so sick of, you know, is R&B dead? And, you know, kind of talk about how you were able to not monetize, but be able to kind of elevate in that sense off of that.
Yeah. Well, I think it was very clear, like people have opinions, you know, and people are like, people love to talk about this, you know, controversy, right? And including myself. So I like we really just started with that angle. We knew we had like great music. We knew we had like at the time like this really, really great video for listening. This was really the song that kind of pierced through. And the visuals were just like very memorable. So we really started with that because we said, hey, if we just say, yeah, Reggie back then is such a cool artist, this and that, like, who's gonna care? Like, it doesn't really evoke any type of like opinion from people. But when you start to position, like, okay, hey, there's this conversation floating around already. Like, how do we get people engaged in it and like offer their, whether it's criticism or their support, and like get their eyes and ears to Reggie and this video. And we really targeted on Twitter because this was like something that was so natural to Reggie. It was so natural to myself as well. Like I was on Twitter like 24/7. That was like majority of my network at a certain point. And yeah,
I mean,
like
I'm not gonna lie, Twitter was popping.
Twitter was popping for a good minute. Yeah. No, that was really like the real LinkedIn. Like that's where opportunities kind of sprouted from. But yeah, we kind of went like mini viral on Twitter, and we were like, oh, it's because we're garnering criticism or like, you know, opinions from want to have that conversation. And it's like, okay, hey, there's a new school of R&B. And it's like, and it's not just one person, it's like a whole slew of people. And that in turn affected the algorithms. You know, it affected the Spotify algorithms, the YouTube algorithm, and people who aren't even engaged in these conversations on Twitter are then being affected by it in Spotify, on YouTube, and they're like, oh my god, like this song by this artist is like my new favorite song. And we started to take that information and then post at the end of the year, hey, if I'm on your Spotify Wrapped, you get free merch. You know what I mean? So it was like, oh shit, like this is my favorite song. I don't even know the artist, but now it's like I'm seeing this. Hell yeah, I want to be. So it's like that's how we started to kind of just like hit those points and like really capitalize off of them. And now we have like some day one people, like the people that were really listening. And we even put an EP together called Thank You for Listening because of how big of a moment that was for us. We were really on a high, and like that song was really like the moment where we were like, oh shit, like whenever like you line your plan together, like you really don't know where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
How high it's gonna take you.
Okay. What's a typical day like, a day in the life of manager Edgar Mendez? What's the typical for you?
It's funny. It took me a while to like really like break it down, but now I operate hour for hour. I have a timer, and at first it was very stressful because you're like, damn, like how do I fit everything in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you have it in front of you, like visually, it actually feels so fulfilling. Like Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, like today, wake up at 5:20. Me and Reggie go, we have a personal trainer, so we'll be like working out, get your day started, finish up by 7, back at 7:30, get a really big breakfast to like power through until like 1 p.m. or so. And in between there, like the first hour, I like just do emails, just do like the tasks that we had assigned from like the day before, and then just start on my 9 to 5 as well. So it's just kind of a little bit of a balancing of those things. And then after 5, it's like now you're just putting everything on the dock for tomorrow. And then I try to, you know, get some time for myself as well. Like try to play some FIFA. Like later I'm gonna watch the Mexico game. And it's like, and spend some time with my girlfriend. Just kind of like make sure to like keep myself sane.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was gonna be the question. Like, how do you make time for you?
Yeah, no, that's extremely important because I want to say like last year and the year before, like I just felt so guilty, like not finishing like whatever it is that I like felt I needed to do. And it was also because like the time management muscle wasn't like really flexed just yet. But that's pretty much the day in the life is like the time management. And I sleep much earlier now. So it's like, oh, at 10:30, I'm in bed. And
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
like,
if you're waking up at 5:20,
mhm,
yeah.
Yes. And not only are you trying to obviously balance your personal life and also that, how do you be able to maintain the creative needs when it comes to your artist? Because right now you're just managing Reggie. So
mhm,
as you look and you're expanding and you're trying to bring on a variety of artists, you know, how would you be able to balance their creative needs and also the business needs,
mhm.
including your personal needs?
Yeah, no, I think it's funny because I think it's very simple. It's actually like we make it more complex than it has to be.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the creative needs, it really like an artist like Reggie is inspired by life, right? So it's just having those conversations that are very stimulating, right? It's like some that are gonna evoke like opinions within Reggie as well, like a little debate here and there, like just stuff that like will really get us going, and it'll just make us feel very present. I think that's also a big thing is like being very present in whatever those conversations are like, or whatever it is that we're doing. Like even if we're working out, it's like, you know, I see that like our progression when we're doing our workouts kind of feed into our workflow as well, and just our friendships too. So I think definitely what's important is to like live life and to be aware of the life that you're living. I think that's what kind of keeps that creative muscle working. And I know for a fact that that's going to help any artist right now is to be aware, to just be present, because it's very easy to get lost in the whole what day is it today?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
You
pretty.
get so wrapped up with work and you're just like consumed. You don't
Mhm.
have like, like you said, be present, just like live in a moment.
Yeah, and of course there's like moments, right? I'm sure we know like there's moments where we're just so busy that it just flies by. But I think
Right.
occasionally like taking inventory of like your mental state is like, oh shit, I haven't done anything that is outside of this work in a while. And it's like, let me go roller skate or something. Let me go
Yeah.
feel the wind. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's switch gears over to brand identity. So what are some of the like foundational steps that you feel for an artist to create a strong personal brand?
Authenticity. I think that's the biggest
Mm.
because like we're not dumb. Like people are not dumb. Like you could tell when you're faking the funk. And
Yeah.
I think something that has become clearer to me is like my favorite artists, like it's very clear what they're about. It's very clear, like it's also very clear when like a lot of artists don't know what they're about, you know? And it's like it's a process. And I think when they don't know what they're about, I just hope that they take a little bit of patience and they try to understand that it's A artist, B artist is not really like the path that I'm following because like, you know, um sometimes you feel like this clock that's on you.
Mhm.
And I think when you do that, it's like your worst work comes from that. Your worst like self really comes from that. And so I think like brand identity is like for sure authenticity, and then just like yeah, just authenticity and patience. I think a
Okay.
combination of both of those things.
Because how do you feel like when it comes to, say, for instance, I don't want to name names, but like a particular popular Canadian artist who's in the big three, he's had so many different identities throughout the years. Like
Yeah, yeah.
one minute he's Jamaican, one minute he's
Wait a second. Wait a
then
second.
he's Canadian. So it's like how can the audience, feel that authenticity when
Yeah.
it's like you're going through so many different stages of yourself, you
Mm.
know?
I get you. Say what you will. And I agree with you. I think what's also important in that is that like emotionally, like he kind of like it's almost like this. It's like if like, you know, we all feel petty at times, right? And he explores that and he like is able to give a microphone to it. It's almost like sometimes like the petty side of you is like writing down these lyrics and then it's like you're like, oh, I can relate to that. Like I don't want
Right.
to relate to that, but it's like the worst part of myself, the egotistical part, the petty side can relate to that really hard. So it's like at least he's got that down and that's why it kind of connects, I think, with some songs, you know, like and then some of just like the good music. I feel like Drake is interesting. Oh yeah, there you go.
We name dropped.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The OVO. Nah, just kidding.
Yeah.
I,
All right, Kendrick.
I will say, yeah, like I feel like he definitely has like the support from like just like people who are kind of tapped in with their emotions. And yeah, and every time, I'm sorry, but every time he drops the album, like there's a timestamp, like for everybody. Everybody knows what they were caring about that song.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, he just figured it out. I don't know. He figured it out, but his brand identity is that like, you know, he's just into his emotions.
Yeah. Okay.
Love it. Love it. And I kind of, speaking of brand identity, kind of give us like your thoughts, because clearly after the pandemic we moved into an age where it wasn't about if it could be the talent, because obviously TikTok became very big, you know, and of course not only just the TikTok platform, people cared about more the numbers, people care more about the following, people cared about more of, okay, what's the data instead of what is the actual talent. And I feel like artists are being missed because after that it just got so drawn into the numbering. So kind of give us, you know, how important is one's numbers or followings when it comes to helping an artist, and do they need to have it? Can they just build the following and you just go from there?
Mm-hmm. Do they need to? I think for sure what's necessary like is a clear idea of like the people that support you, like whether that's 50 people or like 500,000. But I think anybody who is like unaware of an artist kind of like thinks of like, oh, who would be their fans, you know? So I think kind of having that idea, it also helps. So like there's this girl who I came across, I want to say like a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. She's an Australian girl. Her name's Vita. Very fire. Like her visuals, like when I started seeing them, like she didn't really have like, I think she maybe had like maybe like a few hundred monthly listeners or something like that. And but it was so good. It was just so freaking good. And I'm like, yo, this girl is so fucking talented. Like, how are people just like not on this, you know? And for a year, I was just commenting on TikTok, like, you know, just support, like, because it's so fucking good. And I would look through the comments too, and I'm like, oh, it's just a lot of cool ass people in here. I'm like, yo, like people are gonna get it, it's gonna click. And then she just, you know, she was on TikTok, and then like Timbaland heard her song and was like, oh my God, this is so fucking good. Now she's working with Justin Timberlake and Timbaland and just signed a deal with Interscope. And it's like eventually, you know, you just hold it down for a while. You just like really refine that like brand identity. You really don't know who's watching. You really don't know who's
That
like
part.
who's gonna push the button and then they push the button and then it inspires. It's like, oh shit, everyone's trying to be like, oh, I was here like, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago. So it's like it's a combination of sorts. And I think it's very discouraging these days. Like, you know, sometimes you do see like some really lame shit like get most views and all that, but
Very lame. Oh
but
gosh.
yeah, but you wonder, it's like, yo, is this sustainable? And I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Mm-mm.
How do you think an artist should balance their creative vision with market trends? Especially like, you know, everything, there's so many different changes that goes on we're already in 2024 and there's so many different trends that's been going on. Like we're going back into like the early 2000s in a sense. So how do you feel like an artist?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think there are certain trends that actually end up being just mad cool. And I think it's like, hey, if it feels authentic to you, like you can find a way to spin it to be, compatible with your brand and compatible with whatever you find dope. But anything that feels forced, oh man, like sometimes you can alienate your people from that, and I think that's kind of hard. It's like it's a very delicate balance because there is that like downside, but then the reward can also feel like so high because you're like, damn, but like, I might go viral and stuff. But I think it's like I think trends will shift, back and forth, and eventually like some cool shit will really be popping, and then it'll just meet with you. And I genuinely believe that. Like eventually it'll meet with you. Like I work at like an indie like singer-songwriter label where they're independent. They're independent and like occasionally they'll get some big ones. Like they'll just get some big ones and it'll just be off the strength of just like the trend just met up with them, like their authentic self. And it doesn't even seem like they're trying that hard, like these artists, like the ones on the label, because they've just been so consistent, not trying too hard, just being themselves, and it just met up with them. And I that's some of the coolest shit I can see. And I'm like, this is a completely different genre from like what I work in. So seeing that kind of reaffirms like that belief that eventually that pendulum does swing over.
Yeah.
And it meets with the talent.
Before we wrap up on the brand identity topic, one of the questions I definitely want to be able to speak with on is because as artists are progressing in their career, and obviously you're along with that, right? How do you be able to speak to the artist to be able to manage, crises? Do you always got to respond on social media? Do you always got to put your personal life on social media? And like, how do you have that conversation? What is a conversation? What did that look like? Not saying we got to have a Krishan and Blueface moment or anything like that where everything's on social media, but meaning just you interacting and managing that. How do you handle the emotional versus, what's reality and going on in your world without it being all over the place?
Yeah. That's a
How
great
you manage that?
No, that's a really good question because yeah, it's just about like what's true. If something is just not true, it's very ridiculous. It's like, bro, that's not true. Is it true? Or if you feel like it is true, like let's talk about it. Like, what do what it has to have triggered something,
Right.
And I think that sharpens the artist, makes them more aware of like what pushes their buttons and what doesn't. And I think that prepares them for the bigger stage where people are dedicated haters and like they're dedicated like observers of like what ticks you off, I think I've seen that a few times and I'm like, oh, okay. The more control, the more aware you are of like what pushes your buttons, like the more, those comments don't really do anything. Yeah. And that's all people want to do is they just get a response.
Yeah, that is true.
We need like a Omarion unbothered session.
But occasionally, sometimes in those situations, it's like, yo, like, if you want to respond all petty, if you want to respond like this, are you going to be like happy? Yes. Oh, get into it. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, hey, like occasionally there are those moments and it's like, hey, like sometimes it is a way of like kind of putting it out there. Like, yo, I don't like the way people talk to me like this. So don't talk to me.
Okay. So I'm noting clapback season is definitely, occasional. Okay, gotcha.
I think like with that, because like for instance, one example, Cardi B, she's not gonna let anybody talk crazy to her in the comments, and she's one to respond in the comments, and I think that just makes people look at her like she's human. She's just like
exactly.
And it's like, people, they put celebrities and artists on this like high level. And granted, Beyonce, she's not replying to any comments or anything. But it's just like when you have somebody who's gonna reply, and it's like, okay, they're just like me. Like, you know, they have
Rihanna on Twitter. Like
especially Rihanna.
This was when Twitter was, but yeah,
this when Twitter was
was
everything. I'm sorry. Twitter, it was a moment. It was a moment.
It was a moment, yeah, for sure.
Okay. So let's shift gears. I want to be able to go into the area where it's being well known it's coming to be known at this point, AI. Because clearly I feel like AI is a really big topic. Danielle know I stress it. Everybody that knows me, I'm like, oh my God, we have to talk about AI. Like I think our culture needs to be very aware of it. How can it be, the pros and the cons of how it can help us. I'm not sure if you had any run-ins in using AI as of yet to be able to help in your branding and digital marketing and strategy plans or anything of that nature. But can you kind of talk about how AI can be able to assist, whether if it can be in a bad way, whether if it can be a good way, when it comes to like marketing strategies or for individual artists, or just your overall plan when you're sitting and be able to coming up with like, okay, what's our long-term goals?
Okay. No, this is good because AI, I want to say, so I use ChatGPT pretty religiously. Actually, not lately, but there was a moment where I was, yeah. And yeah, that was my intro to like, these AI tools and I haven't really been doing too much exploring with other AI tools, but ChatGPT, I was on that like when it was first coming out, and I was like, I was really trying to get everybody I knew to get on it, before they even had like a paid program situation. It was more so just like envisioning, like I think before marketing, and I do use it for admin stuff, like like certain emails, like if I feel like I just want my idea out, and then it's like, hey, can you just clean this up? And I kind of train it to like have my tone. But I would say even envisioning stuff, like with Reggie, for example, I kind of just had it have a conversation with me about just like, okay, who is Reggie? Like, what are certain features about him that like, like his talent and everything like that, his stage presence and everything that are like really, really strong parts of his career and parts of his identity. And just like the team, like what is a team? So I kind of like feed it all this information, and I just like almost like envision like what are the possibilities, like what does the future kind of look like it and the potential. And it's different when you can actually like vividly see what the potential could be like. It's like, yeah, you're going country to country, like this and that, like making all these moves and like having people feel these emotions, like this particular thing. A fan meets you after like they found you on this song, and it's like, oh shit, like using it like that to like continue to explore your own imagination, to me has been like the most exciting part of like the utilization of AI. So I would say before marketing and everything like that, this kind of helps us understand like a little bit of like the potential and just like what we really have in our hands, basically.
Yes.
Now let's get into the other side of AI, the not so pretty side. I don't know if you've heard recently, there was a label that was suing this AI company for copyright infringement over BBL Drizzy, something like that, with the making of it or something in that sense. And then also there's another story with YouTube trying to work with certain labels to do like a AI music deal. So how do you about that in that sense when it comes to like copyright infringement and also AI music deals? Because who's really getting paid,
I know. I agree. I don't know. I don't like the AI music deals, to be honest, because to me, it's like, what do you guys are trying to get rid of you guys are trying to get rid of the artist, but I think here's the
The
important,
human side of it.
yeah, the human side of it. Like that's the like, to me, music is very sacred, you know, and to
Right.
like just take the soul out of it, it's like, I mean, that's kind of what's been happening to all these other parts of like the world, you know, like everything is just take the soul.
Cars,
Yeah,
like,
just take the soul out of everything. So it's like,
yeah.
to me, I think while I am a bit conflicted with like so much social media content, I think there's other ways to tell the story, and people are inspired by the stories, you know, and yeah, you can artificially create a song, but you can't artificially create like an experience and a journey of an artist, you know, like the Reggie and everything like that. Like something that's very important to us is leaving all the posts that he posts. Like he's not deleted or archived any posts. You can go back and like check till he was performing at the parking lot at UCLA, you know, as one of his shows. You can go back and it's there, you know, and you can't artificially create that journey. Like it's just it's as human as it can be, and you feel like you're a part of the journey as well. That's been something that's very important to us, is to like leave that there, let people kind of find it back. You don't have to be all like mysterious and stuff like that. It's like, leave it there. People could trace it back, pick up crumbs from it, and like bake something else of their own, you know? And I think something that's a little frustrating about like the AI deals and everything like that is like, what, you guys don't think that's sacred to anybody else? Like it's sacred, you know? But I don't know. Music's become a commodity, unfortunately, these days. But it's more than that. It's art. And for those who still get it like that, you know, there should be a space for us still.
Yeah, and it's also like the scary part of it being able, like, when it started coming out more, like people were making songs but using artist voice.
Oh yeah.
Which
Yeah.
like, was really scary, because it's just like, okay,
scary.
like if you can do that with an artist voice, what else can you do? And it's just like,
Right.
that's like, you know, that I see like the harm in more than the good.
And that's why, yeah, I think you were talking about the fact that all the three major labels got together and they were suing. And so Sony, Warner, Universal is suing these AI driven companies that are putting these artists out here. And I mean, it's kind of like when the whole hologram stuff started happening and we had this whole digital artist type thing happening. Now, granted, they created their own artists and things like that, but I'm like, how long is that gonna last? Because when somebody goes to the concert, I mean,
I don't want to see
it's nothing like seeing the artist on the stage and just in their moment, like, and just giving us that, like you said, that experience. Like we were literally, because now Ticketmaster don't, you know, we ain't paying $800 for a ticket and $600 for a ticket to go see some hologram, because I could have stayed at home and just watch Prime Video.
Right.
So, like, you know, if y'all inflating and y'all making us pay these prices, you know, I want the whole shebang. You know, I want to see you flip and cross and dip and dive. You know, all of it.
Oh, that's exactly. It's like it's the same thing. I'm looking at something that's kind of a screen. I think it's crazy that you guys like mention this now, because I'm starting to think there were moments where there were like AI artists, you know? Where they at? Where they at right now? Like they're cool for like a month, a couple months. Let's just say max like a year. Where they at? You know what I mean? It's like, I think what ends up happening is like certain tech people that just view music as toilet paper, as like, you know, paper cups. They think, oh my God, we should do this. It'll be so cool, this and that. And it's like, there's a lot less people who actually like really care, who have like an upbringing story of like why they love music, you know? A lot less of these people that are like in these positions, like voicing like their opinions, like, yo, I think that's fucking whack. It's like, I think we focus more on like things that are gonna like really make people feel, and instead they're just looking for reactions.
I love this. So before we get into our last topic, before you get your question, Danielle, into our last topic, I just want to do a quick recap of just some of the things, some of the gems that you gave us. You know, are we being present? You know, are we living life so that we be able to see the full picture? You know, are we being authentic enough to be able to be relatable? You know, are being you, this is my favorite, being able as an artist, being able to be yourself so the trends can come to you.
Mm-hmm.
That is right there. And I just love is the last one is of course is like how we're positioning ourselves, like, you know, how we be able to stand out. So those who are going to watch this, those are just some of just a few of the things that Mr. Mendez have said already. So Danielle.
So getting into our final topic, how do you identify and set long-term goals, long-term career goals for not only your artist, but also for yourself?
Great question. I was just talking about this with Reggie actually yesterday. We were at Zara. We were like, yeah, let's talk about these fucking life goals of ours. How do you set them is I think it's asking that question at different moments in their lives, you know? Like I think sometimes people will give you different answers depending on where they're at in life. Sometimes, you know, if you would have asked me what my career goals were when I was um first starting out, like before I even knew what A&R was, like it was some made up position that who knows, maybe if I want to do that now, like I have the experience and the knowledge to be able to figure something out. But there were different ceilings, you know, throughout the progression of the career. And I think same thing happens with artists. Like they look at their peers and they're like, well, my peers are doing these things, like so that those are my goals now. And it's like it's tapping into a little bit more of like um I think the obvious is like financially, like, okay, I want to live off of my music. I want to live off of like, you know, like make a career. It's like, okay, cool. Like what does that look like? You know, like does that look like you're in LA, like are you abroad or does that even matter to you? You know, and it's like because if you want to do that, then you have to think like a business person now. You have to like find your, you know, really your accountant. You have to find your videographer. You have to, you know, find all these things. And like it's okay if you only have one of those like 20 things. You know, eventually you start to scale up. Like, and the more tools you have, and sometimes you start to realize I need more people or I didn't really need this person just yet. And I think that it's starting to become aware of like, okay, if I want to make it to like the Super Bowl, if I want to make it to the World Cup halftime performance, then maybe you got to study those artists. Like, how did they get there? And it's like, and how would they get there today? Because
Right.
times change and those opportunities change. But the framework is there, you know, like people have done whatever it is that we want to do. There's some variation of like someone doing it before. So I,
Yeah.
I think something like that is very necessary. And it gives you the confidence too. Like confidence is like key to all of this. Like confidence and like that anxiety, like not allowing anxiety to interrupt your confidence
Mhm.
because it will do that. Doubt and anxiety will lie to you, will lie to you. And if you
Imposter syndrome, all of that.
yeah, I think if you have a better relationship with your anxiety and your doubt, I think it'll just be a much smoother, much more just effective like journey, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last question that I have on our topic is um how do you have those conversations when you feel like you and your artist who you're working with may have really capped or came to the end of the road?
Oh yeah. Well, this has happened before. This has happened
Okay.
before. Like I've managed a couple artists and I was a little in over my head, I think, because it was more so like, okay, cool, you know, I've already done this, like I'm gonna just
Mhm.
provide the same, you know, tools and stuff like that. But if you really want to be of service to these artists, like I think you have to like understand that you know the tools that you use for a artist doesn't really apply completely to b artist and it takes time and it's a commitment. I think it's like anything in life, like when you like do a kind of lifelong commitment, because that's what I get into, you know, like that's why I say like at the moment I'm only managing Reggie at the moment, because like I know myself, and I know that like when I was managing these artists, I was unemployed. I was unemployed for like maybe almost a year. And I was like going to fucking Virginia, like when I really shouldn't have been going to Virginia. And I actually lost my like coffee job because of that. Cause I was like, yo, like I also want to be there for this artist. And then, you know what I mean? I was spreading myself too thin. So I was starting to really like assess how much am I really being of service to these artists, you know? And it was just one of those things, those conversations where you just have them with the artist, like, yo, like I want to be supportive, you know. I want to make sure that like, you know, you're talented, and I want to make sure that you have the tools to reach the dreams that we talked about, you know. And sometimes it's like, hey, like it's an understandable thing to have that conversation and to like be honest about it, and for it to not be like, yo, I'm trying to hurt you by like trying to tell you you didn't do a good job, you know, this and that. So it's like, I think at the very beginning, of course, working with artists that can have those conversations, and and then being honest, like, oh shit, hey, I think that's happening now. And it's like, you know, just kind of like scoping it out from the beginning, like, are they emotionally intelligent enough to like have these conversations too?
That right there. Yes. Love it. So we're gonna go into really quickly just some just online questions. So at what point in time will an artist know that they need to hire a team? So whether that is management, PR, or all the above. When do you feel, since I know you said, you know, you kept it really a buck with us, and you know levels, you know what you're capable of, in managing, you know, Art Reggie. When was it at one point when you started having that conversation with Reggie, you knew that, okay, yes, you need management at this point in time?
Gotcha. I would say this happened because I met Reggie in January 2020, literally the first week, like because it was New Year and I was just like, oh, let me go ahead and message him. And I met up with him and Megan. Megan was already managing Reggie at the time. I think it was like she was managing him for a year or 6 months or so. And like immediately we went to the studio and I was like already immersing myself in the team. And I think Reggie and Megan were able to see like, oh wait, he's kind of like already immersed. Like he's kind of, you know, so there was a little bit more trust kind of lent to me. And when I started to just kind of do what I came to do, which is like the marketing side of things, I started earning a little more trust and kind of feeling that imagination for both of them. Like, oh, wait a minute, like he's doing all these other things. He's like picking up, like, you know, moving like the studio equipment, like taking it to the venue that we're gonna perform at, this and that. I was just eager to help. And it was actually never with the intention to try to be a manager. It's just I just was so geeked out, like to talk about the cool shit that we can do because I felt some sense of ownership with it. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like this is my journey too. And I think when people feel a sense of ownership, like they definitely give like their best. They give their best. And I would say that was the case for us. I gave my best, and we were aligned, and we were like, hey, we really are here for the greater good of the Reggie Vectin brand. Now it's time to make it official. I think it was like maybe 4 or 6 months in. It's like, yeah, let's make it official.
And then for other artists that's outside of that are just waking up dying to, I need management. I got this song. I got 50,000 streams.
Yeah.
What am I doing next?
I hear it. I would say it's probably in the best interest of the artists to be aware of like where they need help. You know what I mean? Like because if you're just like, damn, like I have these things going for me, and like, you know, I just have a lot of things that I can offer, it's like, all right, but where exactly do you need help? Maybe you don't need a manager. Maybe you need like honestly like an assistant or somebody, or like somebody to reply to these emails, and maybe that's where they start. You know what I mean? Like someone that's kind of volunteering their time, um, if they want to, you know, because that's what I was doing. I was volunteering my time as a marketer. I was like, yo, I have these cool ideas, and I love the music, and I love them. Like they were like mad cool people, and it was just easy to work with them. So I would say for those artists is to just be aware. Like, what do you need help on? Like, really, like, be honest with yourself. Do you need a videographer? I think you need a videographer, you know? I think you need maybe like a photographer to make your brand more defined and make it easier too for potential managers to see that and be like, huh, I wonder what their situation is like. You know what I mean? Like, and I think just having those conversations too, like if I was an artist and I started having like my first few moments of like kind of stuff that was popping, I would go out there and I would just like have more conversations with people, like not with the intention of I'm looking for a manager, with the intention of what's it like out there, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and certain people could be like, oh shit, I actually know somebody who's perfect for you and actually is looking for you, and then through that connection, it's a whole lot better. It's like that's what I would do if I was an artist that was looking for management.
How do you, because you and Megan, you both co-manage. So how do you guys have that cohesiveness to where, I mean, people, they may have like different opinions on certain, or what may work or what may not work. But how do you guys have that cohesiveness together?
I think everybody can bring good ideas, but I think the discussions bring out great ideas. And I think that's what ends up happening with me and Megan. It's like, I already know she's going to have good ideas. I already know I'm going to have good ideas. I know Reggie's going to have good ideas. So we encourage the kind of building on each of those ideas and being okay with, okay, we might scrap my idea. And now hearing your idea, it triggered another idea that I have. So it's like being eager to not just stop at the starting point. I think being eager will then bring out the best, and I think it has with me and Megan. Yeah, and it's trust. A lot of it is trust. Like it's all trust. Like, if there are very much moments where we're just like constantly debating, but at the end of the day, it's like we all know it's like for the greater good of the Reggie back then journey.
Okay.
Yes. Well, first off, Edgar, thank you so much for giving us your time for this hour, for our wrapping up on our music series, our educational series for Music Month. You dropped so many gems, and I'm just gonna repeat some for those. Like I said, just being present, living life, being authentic, being the real you, so the trends come to you, and just being honest and just positioning yourself. So those were just some of the notes that I took. So by the time you get done with this session, I'm quite sure you will have plenty of gems that Mr. Mendez provided. So we just once again want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, just really taking your time out to really come speak during this session, giving us your expertise, because you do a phenomenal job. I mean, I love Reggie. I've been Reggie, Jordan, it just everybody just day one fan for me. And allowing us to be able to come into your world and providing that and get that space and to be able to kind of talk about strategy, kind of understanding what it is to be able to have relationship and be able to work together and be able to know that it's just over time, it's just something that be able to connect you to what it is with another person. So it's not always about, hey, what you need, what you doing, all this other stuff. It's just really just showing, like you said, just being there, showing up, and just wanting to work and just wanting to do what you love. That's all it took.
For sure. And sorry, real quick,
Go ahead.
I do want to make a quick edit, but in those, like, because I thought about like the artist thing. If I'm an artist, definitely have those conversations, this and that, but also make it known like what you're, like people don't know how to help you. And I think when you put it out there, maybe I'm not the manager for you, but hey, I'm glad you told me so I could, keep that in mind. So I just wanted to make that edit because I know, like, if I'm an artist and I'm watching this, I don't want to feel like, oh, just have those conversations. No, like you should put it out there. Like you should put it
You
out.
want those raw conversations, truthful
Yeah,
conversations, like
yeah,
head on, because like,
yeah,
at the end of the day, you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste their time
yeah.
because, time is precious.
Yes.
So ain't no need to paint a facade that's not there. So, well, first off, thank you once again. And of course, Danielle, any closing questions for you or?
Yeah,
Good.
I think he said a lot.
He did. And I just appreciate it. So, guys, thank you so much for those who are going to watch this. Please make sure, Edgar, please give us the social media, throw it out there, how to get in contact. I don't know, like, I know you got Reggie right now. I don't know if you're looking for artists, but just for them, just if they wanted to just kind of reach out and just kind of see, because I know you guys, Megan, your whole crew, you guys do a phenomenal job.
Thank you. No, this hour flew by for me. So great conversation, great questions. I'm a geek when it comes to this stuff, so appreciate that. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter, LinkedIn. Well, actually, let me tell you first, Instagram and Twitter. Oh yeah, Edgar. It's like, oh yeah, Edgar, I know him. Okay, cool. So, oh yeah, Edgar. LinkedIn is just, Edgar Mendez. Actually, it's Edgar Mendez Aquino, but it's Edgar Mendez. But to find me is Edgar Mendez Aquino. And what was the last thing? There was, oh yeah, looking for artists. At the moment, I really don't think I'm looking for artists, but I 100% take all calls. I take these calls, I try to make some time, like, to just take every call that anybody who like wants to reach out. Like I try to get on a call with them. Just like, hey, it's 30 minutes that really turns into an hour usually because I'm a talker. I don't know if you can tell. But yeah, no, I take calls because you never know, like, I don't know. You never know, like, who just kind of needs that or how we can help each other. Like,
right.
really, like, sometimes just taking these calls, like, random people that just reached out. I don't know. I don't have zero mutuals, but I'll still take them. And it's like, yo, I'm learning a thing or two. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So, if you DM me, you're like, yo, I saw the video. You said you take calls. I'll take that call.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for dropping that. We'll let it be known. Listen, so Danielle, you already know we coming to a close. Oh my gosh. So you already know is what? Real music, real style, and real people. And guys, it don't get no realer than this. Once again, thank you, Edgar, for coming through. And guys, until next time, you already know. Peace.
Sometimes I don't wanna talk. Sometimes I just wanna stay inside. I don't need nothing more. Sometimes I just wanna drink. Feels right, but I know